YouTube, what's up guys? Thank you guys for checking out another video. This one's interesting because I actually follow this YouTuber. He has nothing to do with the barber industry. And so I was surprised to see that he made a video about a barbershop that makes $13,000 a month. Now, I don't know if that's gross, if that's net, but we are going to watch this video. We're going to see what he finds out, what his outside perspective is. And I'm going to give you guys some insight as a barbershop owner who has owned 7 barbershops and has been in the industry over 10 years. Hopefully you guys find some value in this, and yeah, let's go ahead and start this reaction video. All right, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. This is, I believe, Tommy Branson. Let's get started.
All right, guys, so another day, another business. And this business is actually one of my favorites because it's something that all of us guys can actually relate to. And it's actually a barbershop. Today, we're going to talk about how to start a barbershop. But not just how to start a barbershop, of course, but actually the startup cost of starting a barbershop, the expenses, the profits, and also the challenges that a person might face when it comes to starting a barbershop. So now the startup cost for this business is a little bit more like kind of weird, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of ways to actually go about it. There's a way to actually buy a barbershop that's already like fully furnished, already like has the entire location established.
I've done this before.
And it's basically like this, right? Say for example, my name is Tommy. This other person's name is Miguel, right? Miguel has his barbershop. He's been there for 15 years. Tommy, I'm trying to sell this barbershop. And I say, Miguel, awesome. How can I buy it from you? I'm selling it for $65,000, and usually it can range between $10 all the way to $150,000. And here's why it costs so much money, right? Because Miguel worked for 15 years building the location. He has all the materials, all the chairs, all the employees, all the business, everything intact, and all you literally have to do is come in, buy it from him, and then negotiate the lease with the landowner, and then pay the deposit or whatever, and then you're in the spot. The only thing that's different is you.
No, I think I wish it was that easy. When you buy a barbershop, you're not just buying the barbershop and the employees. You're also buying that barbershop's history, that barbershop's culture. And when you change the leadership in a barbershop, you can change the culture easily. Like, barbers are very prideful of their work, of their environment, and the moment leadership comes in and it's different to what they're used to, that can completely pivot a business in a good or bad way. And I bought a barbershop before, and I can tell you that you're buying that barbershop's problems too. You're buying all kinds of different personalities that you have to lead and manage. It's almost like going from coaching a high school team to coaching the NBA, and you gotta be able to lead and manage personalities of the Kobe Bryants and the Shaqs of the world. You see what I'm saying? I would say buying a barbershop is not for everyone. You got to be a strong personality, a strong businessman, and you got to be able to devote some time to that business.
The startup cost of doing it like that is like between $10,000 to literally $150,000, depending on how much money you're willing to spend and how much money you're actually willing to negotiate with that person.
It could be more. I mean, there's barbershop owners who are just fed up and are willing to just give you the shop if you'll take over the lease. Sometimes you can find that deal. But then there's barbershops that are freaking the most beautiful thing you'll ever see, and they spent way too much money building it up, and you're gonna spend $500,000 on it. Right?
Now, the second way to actually do this, you're probably thinking about this already, right? Is actually just like renting a place and actually putting a barbershop in there and actually establishing it yourself. You're starting a new location. The rent is going to be like maybe $2,000, 3-month deposit, so that's times 3. Well, $6,000, right? So that's the out-of-pocket cost. Now you have to buy the chairs. Maybe the location can only fit like maybe like, let's say 8 chairs. And each chair is around $475 plus shipping is like $100, right? So let's say $575 per chair.
It's a good number.
$575 per chair.
Probably more expensive.
And that's $3,450 on the chairs, right? You're probably telling me, all right, Tommy, that's about it, right? Well, no. Remember the $6,000 that I told you about that you're actually doing? And remember that you have to put mirrors everywhere. You're gonna have to put flooring. You have to put like seats. You're gonna put fans. You're gonna put lights and all this fancy stuff. So let's just add another $10,000, $20,000. Let's do 20, right? Let's say $15,000, right?
What about plumbing? You got to build it to code. You got to have plumbing, shampoo bowls. If you're in a nice plaza, you're gonna spend some money just on the build out. What about the sign outside? That sign, depending on the plaza that you're in, I've paid for a sign as little as $3,500 and as much as $12,000 just for the sign that goes outside. You're missing a whole bunch of numbers here. It really does depend on the plaza that you're in. And if you want a decent plaza in a nice neighborhood, they're going to have specific guidelines they want you to build your shop out to because it needs to match the community. A lot more to it.
It means that you're saving around $60,000 or all the way up to $110,000 if you're not like buying it from somebody else.
No.
Now, here's how this might not be the best idea. It's because your location isn't established. And by the way, so you might start this barbershop and no one will go to you because in a customer's mentality, you go to people that you already know and you're already established with and you actually trust. Yeah. And that's really it. If you want to start your own, then maybe it's like $25,000, but you have to put a lot of work into it.
If you want to start your own, it can be up to $150,000. It can be more expensive depending on how you negotiate the build out and stuff. Guys, just so you know, we have, if you know about the Tomb 45 Academy, if you're already signed up or you're not, you can go on there. We have a 3-video, I think it's like 3 hours of content that covers opening a barbershop, and it covers all of it. We even give you spreadsheets that we actually used for running the barbershop and building out the barbershop. If that's something that interests you, $20 a month, you can go in there, study, and there's a whole bunch of other content as well. Link is in the description. But guys, I mean, he didn't bring up stations, garbage cans, mirrors. Each station can cost you over $1,000. What about the break room? What about the flooring? What about painting everything? You got to patch up walls, or you got to break down walls. You got to do plumbing in there. If you want a sink at every station and they require you to use a contractor, typically you're required to. Whoa. In some states, they require you to have a drinking fountain. The bathroom needs to be accessible. The lighting, the electrical, you got to have a plug at every station. Guys, the floor mats, the waiting chair. A decent waiting chair is going to cost you $50 to $100. 10, 12 of those, you're at $1,000 just right there. It really does add up. I've opened a barbershop, a salon with like 5 chairs, hole in the wall, didn't do flooring, didn't put a sign outside, just did electrical, bought the stations, and they weren't even expensive stations. I'm talking about IKEA furniture. And that was like bootstrapped. I painted everything myself. It cost me $12,000 to do that. But then we've opened barbershops that cost $45,000, $50,000 to do. And I've seen barbershops that are beautiful that had to have been 150 grand to build out. So keep that in mind, guys. Sometimes buying a barbershop is cheaper. But again, like he was talking about the traffic in the beginning, that's true, but the traffic in the beginning could be great because it's already been built. New ownership comes in, culture changes, people aren't happy. You might lose barbers and you can't lock down an employee. Like you can't keep them from leaving. It's super complex.
Honestly, I don't recommend it.
You don't recommend opening your own shop.
Wow. What are the expenses to this business, right? There are a lot of expenses actually. So now for the expenses, you're going to pay rent, utilities, business tax, commissions, dependent, and also maintenance. Let's say $1,000, right? Let's be generous, right? $1,000 a month. And then let's say like utilities, like we got internet, we got water, we got internet, we got cable, we got light. I know I said all that stuff already, okay? Let's say that's like around $1,000 extra, right? And we said that the rent was gonna be $2,000, right? So plus $2,000, $4,000. So all the expenses put together, they're around $4,000.
Those are decent numbers. If rent is $2 grand, I would double it for expenses, but that doesn't include marketing. Are you gonna advertise anywhere?
Here's where it gets a little tricky for the profits, right? There's 2 ways to actually collect profits from a barbershop. Now you have employees, right? But they're not really employees. It's like having like an Uber, right? I'm a barber, I want to be a barber. I go to the barbershop and I say, hey, I want to be a barber. Can you rent out this space for me, right? And they say, okay, I'm gonna rent you this chair. So the chair, they're gonna rent it for you. In New York, it's between $220 to $150 if you're just starting out.
No, it could be more, especially in New York City. Rent could be even more. Rent could be way cheaper. There's parts of New York City where rent's like $50, and there's parts of New York City where rent might be $350, $400. I'm telling you, it's drastic.
Now, let's do the math, right? So if you're just starting out and you can only fit like 8 people, like 8 chairs in this location, like we said before, let's do 8 times 150. That's $1,200 in a week. We times that by 4, and that's $4,800 in profits. Now, what does this mean, Tommy? It means that after you minus everything, now you just made a profit of $450, right?
Oh, okay.
You divide that by 4. That means that your total profit is around $112 every single week. Remember,
that's how it be, guys.
Every single business has a period when it's just growing in the beginning. So that first year is going to be your establishing year. But after that, you're actually going to make much more money.
I can tell you, a lot of barbers would think in that situation, the shop owner's making a lot of money. I'm telling you.
It takes the average barber like maybe like a month, maybe like 3 months, maybe 6 months, depending to actually get established. So they're not going to be there, oh my gosh, I'm just going to pretend like I'm not cutting hair so then the fee doesn't go up. No, they're actually going to be working their ass off because it depends on their livelihood also.
That's not true either. Believe me, there are barbers who are okay with making a few $100s a week. And barely want to show up to work. And I'm not knocking my barbers, but that's why I make these videos, is to try to help change that mentality and that culture.
After those 6 months or whatever, like 3 months, you bump it up to 220, right? That's 1760 times 4, we minus 4,350. That means that you're making $2,690.
Rent is now $220, and so he's talking about the profits.
You made $672 every single week, pure profit. That's not that bad. So you can actually create your own barbershop, do the entire thing. Buy a barbershop, by the way. Don't do the entire thing like that. I don't.
Guys, do not buy your own barbershop. Don't buy somebody else's problems. Don't buy somebody else's business. Don't buy a surprise. The barbers will leave. They're not real employees. They're not attached to a business. There's no contract that keeps barbers working the shop. And if there is, it won't hold up in court. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but I have experience in this, guys. Do not buy a barbershop. I would recommend you don't do that. Unless you are a customer there, everybody knows you there, all the barbers know you there and they love you, that's a little bit different. But if you're a stranger coming in, buying a barbershop, please don't buy a barbershop.
Because you actually have a hard time like creating the client base.
The barbers will create the client base. All you have to do is support them. That's not going to be as big of an issue as he's making it out to be.
Imagine that instead of 8 chairs, you could fit 14 chairs in that place, right? 14 chairs, and each person's paying you $220. Well, guess what? You're making $3,080 every single month. Times 4, and that's $12,000 a month in gross profits. And here's the thing, right? When you get to a location like this, you're not going to be paying $2,000. Instead, you're going to be paying $4,000 in rent. Maybe $5,000. So let's minus $4,000 for rent, and then the other like $2,800 for the other expenses.
Everything scales up. Electricity bill scales up. The water bill goes up. Your maintenance, the amount of chairs you're going to have to start replacing. Everything goes up. We have a barbershop with 13 barbers. That shop's probably going to profit at the most $5,000. It's not going to profit $13,000. We have a 13 chair shop with barbers that are paying up to $250 a week in rent. So think about that, guys. Like, there's way more expenses than that. There's a retention rate, just like there is with owning an apartment building. You're not going to have 100% booth rent every week. Barbers get vacation time. I don't know about this, but I think that he's not wrong. As far as being profitable, his numbers are off. Getting to that $13,000 a month in profit is very hard. I would say if you're on commission, much easier to do. But even then, we have commission shops and it's much harder, I feel like, long term. If you were to do these numbers with the same amount of barbers, obviously you're gonna make more money off commission, except getting to 14 barbers on commission is much harder than getting to 14 barbers on booth rent.
You're still making $5,000 divided by 4. That's like $1,380 a week. That's not that bad.
So he was on point. You're still making like $5,000. So yeah, I would say $4,000 to $5,000. 14 chair shop at $220 would make. I will say, man, for someone who is not a barber, he did a really good job breaking it down. Obviously, it was more general. I would say everything that he brought up either decreased by 50% or increased by 50% as far as operating expenses and even cash flow or profits and capex as well. So your capital expenses in the beginning, right? Let's look at the comment section. Let's look at how many people who aren't barbers are going to go open a barbershop now.
See you guys next.
Or let's see if somebody's actually done it, followed up, and was like, you were right or you were wrong. Seems like you're just adding random numbers together and running with it. Yeah. But he was being general. They're going in. Attention all barbers. Stop talking on the cell phone when you're cutting your customer's hair. So annoying. Yeah, Mr. Barber Morales, yeah. I own 3 barbershops and your numbers are way off, sir. But thank you for your effort. Yeah, I think you guys are being too harsh. Maybe I was being too harsh on them too. But I think that you have to be careful with any business that you're looking to open. It could be 50% on the upside, 50% on the downside, you know. I owned a barbershop. You don't make that money. Yeah. And the thing is that the barber industry is funny, man, because barbers can be very hypocritical. They want to make as much money as possible. They want to be able to raise their prices. They don't want the shop owner raising booth rent. I got a feeling that in the future, there aren't going to be so many barbershops. There's going to be a lot more salon suites, salon lofts. Barbershop owners are starting to figure out, you know, the return on investment and the headache sometimes is not worth it, you know. I would like to see a video about this on salon lofts and suites. That would be interesting. Most businesses will give you the first 3 months, not make you pay the first 3. That's not true. Most plazas want first, last, and a security deposit. That is 100% truth. Now, they'll give you 3 months free, sure. In rent, you still got to come up with that capital to get in. So that money, that cash has to come out of your bank account. It is an expense. So that's not true, bro. All right. Well, I think he had some good points in there. Obviously, some of the points were a little off, but he did a good job overall. Yeah, I thought that was dope to see an outside perspective's opinion on it. I can tell you that his opinion on it isn't far off from barbers who've never opened a barbershop before. So, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you're new to the channel, we drop daily content. So make sure you subscribe, hit the alert button. I can tell when you guys comment and you're not subscribed, it's kind of messed up. It hurts my heart. But I try to reply or hit the heart button anyways. But with that being said, guys, love y'all. See you on the next video.